Hello and welcome to Timberborn and the new settlement of Whiterun. So in last episode we set up the very basics of this survival city where we've got some food coming in, we've got some water coming in, a little bit of research and a little bit of places to home these beavers, as well as just the bare minimums of trying to make renewable trees. Now, I have a feeling that the first drought, is going to come very soon. And if you haven't played this game, basically what happens with a drought is periodically this flow of river that you see in the middle of the screen is going to stop. And these things, this water source, will stop flowing water. And with the water, all these green tiles will turn to barren. So you either have to stockpile food to survive the drought until the water comes back, or in the case of us, build a little tiny dam that can keep some water for the duration of the drought. Now I have a feeling, hopefully we've got enough water. We've got basically the simplest of dams here. And you see this dam is only going to keep maybe 75% of the water in. And we have to hope that that water is going to be enough to survive the drought, because eventually it will evaporate over time. And the beavers will drink some over time. So our plan next is to hopefully stockpile for that drought and make sure we can survive and make some long-term plans of where to go next. A couple things I think we need to do. First, I'm thinking we could use a little bit of better food. So you can see here we've got carrots, which the beavers can eat directly, and we've got potatoes, but the beavers can't eat potatoes. They have to be cooked somehow. So I think we should get some sort of potato processing going so they can eat those potatoes. I think we could use a little bit more water down here and probably some water storage. Similarly, I think we could use a little bit more storage for both our potatoes and carrots. And long term, I'm thinking we should start looking up here to make a dam. With that, let's go ahead and get started. First, I want a little bit more stockpile for food. You'll notice that the farms, they can hold a little bit of food in there, but not a whole lot. Just like we've done with berries, I think I'd like to put both some carrots and potatoes. 2 stockpiles there. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and extend a little bit of our farming space. Use everything we can. We've got 3 days before the drought arrives, so 3 days to do final preparations. So they got those going. I think the other things I was mentioning, let's make another water pump. And let's also put a little bit of water storage, just in case. We're kind of running low on trees. I know we have a renewable supply starting, but it's not going to be there for a bit, so we might need to cut these, unfortunate as it is. Let's see, this will hold carrots, and this will be our potatoes. Now, something I mentioned earlier is that beavers can't eat potatoes directly, so what's the point of making them other than carrots? Well, what potatoes are really good for is they're a really condensed form of food. So you'll notice here, if I make a grill, it can convert 1 potato into 4 baked potatoes. So from 1 potato, you get 4 meals for a beaver or for a villager, versus for the carrots, kind of a 1-to-1. So there's more steps involved with cooking it, and you have to use logs to bake it, but you can get a lot more food per potato out. We don't have enough adults to do all this work. So we've got 4 children, but they can't work yet. And we've got 1 vacancy. And with this, we'll have a 2nd vacancy. So our vacancy is our water pump, but I would really like to have somebody there. I'm going to temporarily boost the priority from this and maybe stop one of the inventor stations, just with the drought coming up. You can see our logging production's continuing along. We've got a nice supply of new trees being planted. Now we do have to wait a while for these to be harvested. So you can see it's only at 15%. So these won't be available to harvest until after the drought. Given how close we are to the drought, let's get some more harvesters for food. And then eventually what I can do is I can take that person and have them work over on the grill. And the grill just needs logs, so that's nice. And what are you guys? You guys have run out of things to cut. So let's go ahead and pause this production place. So we're gonna pause these because I don't like them being idle. And can they harvest these from there? They can. That's a long walk. I don't want the beavers to have to walk all the way down here and store the logs. So what I want to do is just make 2 other ones. And eventually we can just get rid of these. We are on our last full day before the drought comes, and we are kind of cutting it close on food. You see, we do have potato stockpiled, but they can't cook it until this is done. And we don't have carrots. We're basically just eating the carrots as soon as they come in. So I think I really need temporarily to reopen the harvesting just to sustain us until we can get the grill going. We kind of cut this one close. Perfect. So let's put a high priority on our potato grill. And we also need to have this actually make potatoes. So this should really help our food supply situation. Let's see. You see this guy? Here he is. He picked up some logs. He's going to pick up some potatoes. Let's get grilling. Perfect. We've got our first potatoes coming through. Just in time for that drought. Oh, it looks like a beaver in there has a little bit of damage. Let's see, what does he got? A broken tooth. Cutting chance 9. And he works at the lumberjack. So that's not good. So it says that he's going to have trouble cutting trees, and that's his job. But I think there's something that we can do for a beaver like this. There's a building that you can build that they can use to repair themselves. I think it's well-being. Here we go. A teeth grindstone. We'll put it kind of in an out-of-the-way place. We can't use this space for anything else, so let's put it here. And the drought starts. If we look up here at the source of water, what we're going to find is that the water source no longer emits anything. You can see already, it doesn't take any time at all. The water is all gone. Because whatever water is there has fallen out and gone downriver. And you can see pretty quickly all that green just very quickly goes away. So if you've got trees or crops or anything like that, when it goes like brown like that, they only have a short window until they die. Now you can see in our case, what we've done is because we've dammed up the river, and we've got kind of this like temporary lake that surrounds our land, which is good because we need that to keep growing food. And you can see kind of the difference here. This is that dam piece. It cut maybe 75% of the height. So we've got a little bit of water, and hopefully this will tide us over. Now this water can go down by 2 things. 1, it can go down when you pump, and 2, it can go down by water evaporating. And the deal is that the wider the surface area in this game is of the lake, the faster that water is going to go away. So it's kind of in your favor to have really deep supplies of water. Deep and narrow. But you can see ours is only maybe one deep. See, it's not very deep. So this overall could evaporate relatively quickly. Now, the good news is we only have to last 3 days of this. And I think we've got enough water in here, plus enough to keep growing food. Which is good, because otherwise I don't think we have a ton of stockpiled food that would last a long time. And you can see here, this is an effect of the drought on trees too. You can see this tree would eventually die in 12 days if it doesn't get water. Which can happen in the later part of the game, because what's going to happen is these droughts are going to get worse and worse as the game goes on. So you have to keep on figuring out ways to get better supplies of water to survive these droughts. I think since we've got a pretty steady supply of food and water, I'd like to start prepping more beavers into the village. You can see the beavers won't spawn unless you have free beds. And so we only have one free bed. So we'll probably get one more baby beaver in a bit. And they take a little bit before they grow into an adult and they can actually build. But I'd like to make sure we kind of have an extra supply of new beavers coming in. I'd like to start prepping a new house. And I think I'm going to put a house on top of this one. Start using the kind of the 3 dimensions we've got. So let's take a look to see. For this one, I think we're going to need to unlock the wooden stairs. Which these will be valuable later on too, because we'll need these to start building the real dam. It looks like we've got another problem with a beaver here too. What is this? He is injured. What do we do with injured beavers? Looks like you need to make a medical bed to repair them. So what's the penalty when they're injured? Can they do other stuff? Are they not working at all? Yeah, he's unemployed. I take it, given we have vacancies and he's unemployed, he's not going to work until he's better. Which, fortunately, I would rather not spend this yet. I'd rather spend it on like the buildings to build a better dam, but let's go ahead and do it. And then, let's see, he can... Should we put the hospital right outside somebody's house? How about here? you can heal up to the soothing sounds of illusion here, walking on the hamster wheel. It's very therapeutic. Let's start looking at long term. Long term, I think this would be a really good place for a better dam. And I think the main thing stopping us right now is the research for the dam and a better supply of logs. Like, these aren't going to be ready for a bit. So let's just kind of map out what we would need for a dam here. So I'm thinking I'd like the triple floodgate. And I'd also like to be able to stack it on one thing so I can get the full height. Right? So if I had one here and a triple floodgate, that would give us the full height to block off water. Now, in order to build that, the beavers have to be able to kind of be at that level or above. So we might need this other platform. Like if we built a platform here, that would allow them to walk on that and then basically build the parts below. So we have a few things then to research. So we've got to get platforms, we've got to get dam or levees, and a triple floodgate. So that looks like roughly, you know, ballpark 700 research. We got some research to do. I think we've kind of got enough people pumping water. We have extra supply. I'm going to put him back over to research. That way we can start unlocking those other things. Other thing I'd like to do is, see all this green space over here? I'm thinking it would be pretty good to expand over here to start getting some other stuff. Like, we could plant some more trees and maybe another farm over here. You know, we're doing pretty good with food right now. I can see our numbers growing, but logs, I think it would be good to get more. And we made it. Yeah, that was a pretty easy first route. I think we did all right for ourselves. So we got a little water flowing back. Green should be coming. And things should be going back to normal. I think overall, we're unfazed. Like, let's take a look how much water we used. Looks like we used maybe half of what we had. We're at 75%, 50, so maybe a third of the supply. So we could foreseeably continue with what we've got today up into like a drought that was maybe, let's ballpark, like 6 days to 7 days long. So that gives us some time to get a better drought. That will give us maybe a couple cycle or another cycle. Our next target is definitely going to be this. Long term, that's going to be our target. These guys are almost done with what building they can do. So I'm going to have to send them over here to chop these woods up next. do here, because then they can get to both. And then after that, we're going to put another, I think, forester over here. Now, I don't want to put this too close to the river, because I think later on we're going to use that for water wheels and factories and stuff like that. So maybe we build this somewhere down here-ish. We'll continue that road forward. Yeah, I'm liking that. And we're gonna plant more maple again. I think we're gonna put that pump station back to work because we have enough beavers. I don't like this being all at one. You can see kind of the trend. It went down. Our food's doing great. It's been trending up. I think we're just gonna get eventually stockpiles of food, which I like to be in, but we definitely need somebody else working on water. So we need more citizens in here. The second house up there. There's our log supply. Not good. We've still got a bit before we have our supply coming in. Well, we've got our first pines. These may have probably left over from the first. These were the baby ones. Our first ones are 60%. Of course, our maples are quite a ways to go. Since he has nothing to plant right now, I'm going to pause that and then have him probably pick up one of the vacancies elsewhere. He can go over here and plant. Since we have so many berries, berries are kind of a garbage food. Like, they're good for the early game, but later on I don't find them as useful. The only thing I find them semi-useful for is maybe nutrition. Like, sometimes you get these credits if you mix up the diet with the beavers. But even here, they don't even get a bonus, you can see, from eating berries. So, since we're going so well on food, I'm going to tear up some of these just to make room to plant more trees. How we're doing on research? Got a little bit more. I think that's enough to get the platform. After that, the levee. How are we doing on planks? So platforms are going to take a decent number of planks. Now, I noticed these are stalling out. Like, it looks like when this is full, since we don't have storage for planks, they're not producing. We may want to put another kind of warehouse in here for these planks. I'm going to do it this way. That way we can still get access to that space behind there. Yeah, you can see we have basically 2 wasted beavers here, because he can't produce any planks because there's nothing to do. So this guy is just running in a wheel for nothing. He's just running on that wheel every day, and there's nothing hooked up to it. That's so sad. Unfortunately, what I realized is that we can't store planks in regular storage. So I had to tear it down, but the good news is you get at least some of the resources back. So instead, I have to put those planks into a different type of storage, this kind of large pile. So we're going to set that to planks, and with any luck, he's going to start delivering that excess planks over to the pile. Perfect. And that should allow him to start producing planks again. Perfect. And now we actually have some more coming in, which is going to be great, because we need a lot of that timber later on to be able to build that bridge. And so what I'm thinking here is we can also build another kind of storage pile for logs, and we're just going to keep everything nice and close. Especially because later on, we're going to want that to be able to take all that logs over to the dam. Get that accepting the logs. Got some planks coming in. Perfect. And how are we looking for our research? So we've got levees. We can go get those. And now all we need are the triple floodgates. But I'm thinking that is going to be a good stopping point for this session. We got through quite a bit. We survived the drought. We've secured our food supply. So we've got a very good amount of food coming in. A lot of baked potatoes. We've got some stockpiled planks. We've got a lot of research. And we built off into the second side. I think the goal for next time is I'd really like to start working on this next mega dam. And that's going to be gears and then starting to build kind of the foundation for it. And I think it's looking good. I think we're in good shape to be able to flood this whole basin up by then. And that really opens up a lot, because once we flood this, all this area around here is going to be green, and we can use that to plant more farms, more trees, and probably build kind of a stairway up through here. That's going to be it for this session of Timberborn. Hope you've been enjoying Timberborn. And if you'd like to see more, feel free to comment below, or if you have any suggestions of where you'd like to see this settlement go.